Hello students, in today's lecture we are going to learn about laws of motion, NCERT section 4.1 to 4.4. Disclaimer: the images, text and other materials used in our presentations are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the content immediately. Please note that parts of the content may have been generated using generative AI, which is experimental. Strategy for competitive exams. First, understand concepts thoroughly. Focus on grasping the fundamental principles of Newton's law of motion. Then, clear understanding of concepts is crucial for solving both theoretical and numerical problems effectively. Practice problem solving. Regularly practice a variety of problems ranging from basic to complex. Solve problems from past JEE and NEET papers. Regular practice helps in identifying patterns and improving speed and accuracy. Recommended books. Visit our website forum.pruta.ai to get the suggestions of books and guidance. Learning objective. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to understand the concept of law of inertia, Newton's first law of motion. So in today's lecture, we are going to cover introduction, then 4.2 Aristotle fallacy, 4.3 the law of inertia, 4.4 Newton's first law of motion. So, introduction. Understanding the motion due to some external force. Let us first guess the answer based on our common experience. So, here we will learn some common experiences, like to move a football at rest, someone must kick it, yes or no? Like this. To throw a stone upwards, one has to give it an upward push, like this. A breeze causes the branches of a tree to swing. A strong wind can even more heavily objects, like this. A boat moves in flowing river without anyone rowing it. Clearly, some external agency is needed to provide force to move a body from rest. It means what? To move an object, there is a external agency is needed. If we talk about a football, if we talk about a stone, if we talk about the any object, so like a suppose boat, so boat also need a force, or we can say external agency to move. So here the external agency is provided by force, or we can say provided by force to move a body from rest to motion. Likewise, an external force is needed also to retard or stop motion. It means what? It means suppose an object is moving in some direction, so to retard or stop motion, there is an external force is needed. To stop a block sliding an inclined plane, you need to apply a force against the direction of its motion. Suppose we have a block. Look at figure. Suppose we have a block, and this block sliding down from on an inclined plane. So to stop the block, we need to apply a force against the direction of its motion of the block. So here direction of motion of the block is downward. So the force that act against the direction of its motion is friction. So if the force is mg sin theta, suppose the force is mg sin, due to mg sin theta, block moves, block slides from bottom to ground. So the force against the direction of its motion is friction here. In the examples we discussed, the external agency of force, hands, wind, stream, etc., is in contact with the object. So look at here, the block is contact with the inclined plane, and the friction that oppose the act against the direction of the motion of the block is also contact with the object. So if we talk about a bar magnet can attract an iron nail from a distance like this. Suppose we have a bar magnet, and this bar magnet attract a iron nail. It means we can say there is a external agency if we talk about the bar magnet, or that is magnetic force. Therefore we can see that external agencies, for example gravitational and magnetic forces, can exert force on a even from a distance. So in this given figure, so there is a magnetic force that attract an iron nail. In short, a force is required to put stationary body in motion or stop a moving body, and something external is needed to provide this force. It means to stop or to move, there is a external agency is required, or we can say external agency is needed to provide the force. So next, 4.2, Aristotle fallacy. Let's see. So Aristotle held the view that if a body is moving, something external is required to keep it moving. Suppose a ball is moving, so according to Aristotle, something is required to keep a ball or keep a body, keep the body moving. Aristotelian law of motion may be phrased as an external force is required to keep a body in motion. In fact, force is necessary in practice to counter the opposing force of friction, or we can say force is necessary to stop any moving objects. The opposing forces such as friction, this is applied on so in case of solids, and viscous forces for fluids are always present in the natural world. This is true or not? Yes, this is true. Friction is also present, and viscous forces is also present. Viscous force. So viscous force is resistive force that acts between layers of a fluid, or we can say liquid or gas, when they move relative to each other. It opposes the motion of an object moving through the fluid or internal motion within the fluid itself. Clear? Thus, it explains why forces by external agencies are necessary to overcome the frictional forces to keep bodies in uniform motion. Here, Aristotle went wrong. Four point three, the law of inertia, and this is very important concept. So listen carefully. Here, question arises: what is inertia? Basically, the meaning of the inertia is the inherent property of all bodies that prevents them from changing their state of rest or uniform motion by themselves is called inertia. Or we can say this property is also known as the resistance to change in a body's state or motion or rest. Simply, we can say inertia in simple terms. Inertia is like a body's natural laziness or resistance to change. If something is not moving, it means at rest, it wants to stay still. For example, a book on a table will stay. Therefore, unless someone pushes it. Inertia in simple terms. If something is moving, it wants to keep moving in same direction with the same speed. For example, a ball rolling on a ground will keep rolling until something stops it. So inertia is resistance to change. Resistance to change. If body is at rest, so body wants at stay. If body in motion, so it will be it wants to keep. If body in moving, so it wants to keep moving in the same direction with same speed. So this is the inertia, resistance to change. The law of inertia. The law of inertia, also known as Newton's first law of motion, simply states an object will stay at rest or keep moving in a straight line with the same speed unless a force acts upon it. In everyday life, this means when a ball rolls down, it gains speed. Look at here. When a ball in figure 4.1a, first figure, when a ball rolls down, so it gains speed. When it rolls up, second figure 4.1a second, when it rolls up the other slope, it slows down due to the friction. Motion on a horizontal plane is an intermediate situation. Figure 4.1a third. So this is the situation of intermediate. So there is a no situation of rolls down and rolls off. This is horizontal plane. It means, therefore we can say that when an object moving on a frictionless horizontal plane like this, figure A, frictionless, the frictional force is 0. It must neither have acceleration nor retardation. It should move with constant velocity. Velocity never be changed. Clear? let us understand the law of inertia with another example for more clarification. A motion of ball on a double inclined plane. So this is double inclined plane. A ball moves from left side to right side. A ball released from rest. Look at here. Ball released from rest on one of the planes rolls down and climbs up the other. Here rolls down and climbs up the other. Rolls down and climbs up the other. If the planes are smooth means frictionless, the final height of the ball is nearly same as the initial height. Little less but never greater. It means, so when ball is released from this point and ball planes rolls down and climbs up, so in both situation the initial height and the final height of the plane is same. So in the ideal situation, when friction is absent means smooth surface, friction is absent means smooth surface, the final height of the ball is same as initial height. The final height, this one, and the initial height, this one, both will be same in the case of frictionless surface. So if we talk about some changes, if the slope of the second plane, this one is decreased and the experiment repeated, it means balls again released from the inclined plane, first inclined plane, the ball will still reach the same height. Ball will still reach the same height, but in doing so it will travel a longer distance, like this, longer distance. So we can say in the limiting case, when the slope of the second plane is 0 on a horizontal plane, the ball travels an infinite distance. This is an idealized situation. It means ball cannot travel infinite. So if we talk about ideal situation, it can. Ball travels an infinite distance when rolls down from an inclined plane. Clear? Newton's first law of motion. So the law states an object at rest stays at rest and an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an external force. It means, suppose we have a book lying on a table will stay therefore forever unless someone or something moves it. So the weight of the book, which is acted vertically downward, mg, and to oppose the weight there is a normal reaction that is acted vertically upward in a vertically upward direction. So it is subjected to win two external forces. We already know the force of gravity, its weight W acting downward, and the upward force on the book by the table, the normal force R. R is a self-adjusting force. So therefore the net force on the book must be 0 according to the first law of motion. So this is the Newton's first law of motion. Clear? Example, external force is required to change the state of a body. For this, let us consider motion of a car starting from rest, picking up speed and then moving on a smooth straight road with uniform speed. So suppose we have a car moving with uniform velocity and the net force is 0 in each case. So when the car is stationary, there is no net force acting on it. Net force should be 0. During pickup up, the car accelerates. It happens due to a net external force. So here we can say that external force is required to change the state of a body. Summary: Aristotle's view that a force is necessary to keep a body in a uniform motion is wrong. A force is necessary in practice to counter the opposing the force of friction. That's why the Aristotle's view is wrong. Force is necessary to oppose the motion of an object. Galileo extrapolated simple observations on motion of bodies on inclined planes and arrived at the law of inertia. Newton's first law of motion is the same law repressed thus. Every body continues to be in its states of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled by some external force to act otherwise. It means there is a need of force to move an object from rest. In simple terms, the first law is if external force on a body is 0, its acceleration is 0. And if we talk about if the acceleration is non-zero, in that case there is some external force that acts on a body. Clear? First is, what is inertia and how does it relate to mass? Second is, can you provide an example from everyday life that illustrates Newton's first law of motion? Third, if an object is moving at a constant velocity, what can be infer about the net external force acting on it according to Newton's first law? And fourth, imagine a spacecraft drifting in a vacuum of space with no engines running. What does Newton's first law of motion predict about its motion and why? Okay. Thank you for your attention.